There's too many brother, there's far too many of you know to bring some day. Father, we don't need to oh, it's not the answer. Oh, in love. You know we find out. You bring some day. It's not punishment with brutality. Talk to me so you can see what's going on. What's going on? What's going
I could sing it.
you can see what's going on. Yeah, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. I'll tell you what's going on. Ooh. Ladies and gentlemen, in just a few minutes, the services for Samira Jackson will start. Out of respect for this family and for these services, would you please check your cell phones to make sure that they're in the off or vibrate position? Those of you who will be speaking on the program, I'll put a mic here at the stand. Feel free to come and speak to your right, my left. Check, one, check. Many of you have asked about live streaming and the link. If you all have family, friends, and loved ones who would like to share in the celebration of life service for Samara Jackson, you can go to our Facebook page or you can go to our website, Eric S. George Funeral Home on Facebook, and our website is www.ericsgeorgefuneralhome.com. Samara has her own page on our website. If you click on her page, her live streaming link is there. For any of you who may need to share the live streaming link, we are live now. Again, ericsgeorgefuneralhome.com. Click on Samira's page, scroll down, and it will connect you to the live streaming link. If you have any questions, you can see me out front. If you're just joining us, welcome again. Out of respect for this family and these services, would you please check to make sure that your cell phones are in the off or vibrate position? Thank you.
Yes, that's everything. So much.
And then can you make sure white mic is on? Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Edwin Fenord. I'm Carl's cousin, and I've been privileged to have met from Florida for just travel abroad. She was in Israel several years ago. And I've been actually asked to help lead today's gathering. So again, welcome. Okay, all right. Can you all hear me well in the back? Okay, all right, thank you. So on behalf of Samira's family and friends, I want to thank you all for being here today. We've gathered not to mourn the loss of someone so dearly loved, but to celebrate the incredible life that she lived. Samira lived a beautiful life, and she left an indelible record and an impact on many of us. So this is a time for reflection, for laughter, for tears, and most importantly, for sharing memories. So whether you knew Samira as a family, as a friend, as a colleague, or in any other way, we each carry a part of her in us. Her kindness, her wisdom, her humor, and her love. Today, as we come together, we honor the unique person that she was. We'll share stories, recall moments that made us smile, and remind ourselves of the joy she brought into our lives. While we will surely miss her, we also carry with us all those moments that are part of her legacy. So I want to thank you again for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for so many of you who have actually traveled to actually come here and be with all of us. And I first want to try to read a little bit, and I think you've seen that in the brochure that you all received, something to help explain her life, what she's done, what she's accomplished. Samira Alake Jackson was born on September 18, 1971, in Georgetown, Guyana, to Jacqueline Jackson and Rashley Jackson. Her beloved homeland of Guyana always held a special place in her heart and, and remained a cherished part of her identity throughout her life. Growing up as the daughter of an ambassador, Samira experienced a rich and vibrant upbringing filled with travel, education, culture, and politics. This exposure, along with her parents' nurturing, shaped her into a well-read, intelligent, and worldly individual. Samia completed her university studies in Georgetown before embarking on a new chapter in New York City, where she lived near her sister and other family members. She was deeply inspired by New York's vibrant art scene, museum, films, nightlife, and cultural diversity, which she fully embraced. Samira was a woman of many talents and passion. A skilled and creative cook, she delighted in preparing meals for loved ones. Her resourcefulness extended to her love for tools do-it-yourself projects, and the work which she approached with enthusiasm and expertise. She was an extraordinary swimmer, effortlessly gliding through oceans, rivers, lakes. Any body of water became her personal swimming pool. Later in life, she settled in Miami, where she met her husband, Carl. Their connection was instant, and they quickly fell in love, becoming inseparable partners. Together, they shared a passion for travel, a love of philosophy, and a deep appreciation for engaging discussions. Their home was filled with lively debates, often sparked by the latest political development on MSNBC and political blogs. When the time came, Carl made the journey to Guyana to respectfully ask and seek her father's permission to marry his younger daughter, youngest, should I say, daughter. They celebrated their love with a beautiful marriage and live as devoted partners, cherishing every moment together. It was in Miami where Samira also honor also owned her green thumb, creating a flourishing garden that was a testament to her care and dedication. She cultivated an array of fruits, vegetables, and vibrant flowers, each one reflecting her thoughtful and nurturing spirit. Samira will be remembered for her beauty, her generosity, her kindness, and thoughtfulness. She's survived by her loving husband, Paul, her sister, Vicky, her brother, Peter, and a host of nieces, nephews, cousins, and dear friends. Samira's warmth, spirit, and love will be deeply missed by all whose lives were touched. I'd like to invite Nancy, who's a dear friend, and she has some words to say about Samira.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nancy, and I've had the blessing and privilege to have been Samira's friend for the past 12 years. I would like to express my deepest and sincerest condolences to all of the family and friends that are present here today, as well as those joining us from afar. Today we gather to remember Samira Alake Jackson, a dear friend who just left us far too soon. We met when she started dating her husband, Carl, and I had been friends with Carl for some time. She had come into our small group of close-knit friends and fit right in from the beginning. Through weekly dinners at our friend Esther's home, going out to see Carl DJ, and partaking in many festivities, we all grew to know and love her. Laughter was Samira's greatest gift to the world. Her infectious giggle could light up even the darkest room, and she had an uncanny ability to find humor even in life's most challenging moments. Through life's breakup, complications, struggles, that signature laugh never diminished. Some people move through life quietly, but not Samira. She danced through it with vibrant energy. She had an epic green thumb, literally planting a now thriving avocado tree from a tiny seed. She also planted elephant ears that literally grew to such a size that I would tell her that I was waiting for a pterodactyl to pick up from behind, a la Jurassic Park, of which she would break out in laughter every time. She loved her she shed, a place filled with plants, books, art, cozy couches, throw pillows, and candles. Both men and women would gravitate to that area of the house, and that would lead her to say at times, "The men's are infiltrating the she shed." Not sure what to do about that. At which point she would laugh and state that the vibe and energy was open to all. that it was a place of expression of thought, philosophy, and even opposing views. Samira was a great conversationalist. I love how we could talk for hours, not about anyone per se, but about ideas, life, philosophy, culture, politics, history, especially ancient history and spirituality. I was raised Catholic. She was raised atheist, and we never had an argument about religion. And that speaks volumes. When the rare moment came or would arise where we would be on the opposite side of a topic, we would simply agree to disagree and leave it there. Samira loved a good meal. She would feel her way through the cooking process, never a recipe in sight. Oh, it needs a little bit of this, let's add this sauce. Oh, my body needs this type of fish, meat, veggie, just constantly working through that process. Always a lover of good food, shared with her close friends and loved ones. She had a great appreciation for music. When time permitted, we would literally spend hours listening to music. We would take turns and just play different things, oldies, new age, rock, reggae, hip hop, classical, ambient, etc. In the midst of picking those songs and playing them, we would share our thoughts and discuss current events, family matters, life, death, everything. We also watched movies and stand-up comedy. One of our favorite movies, ones that we would always circle back to, was Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Monty Python's The Life of Brian, and A Fish Called Wanda. And we literally laughed until we were in tears. Always cherish those moments, Mommy. Loyalty defined her characters in ways both big and small. Each year, she not only remembered my birthday, but my parents' birthday as well, and always would send thoughtful wishes. During the process of grieving the sudden death of my brother and 9 months later, my mother, she lent me an ear and a shoulder to cry on with no mention as to how I should grieve. She knew grief all too well and understood that there was no wrong or right way of processing the loss of a loved one. I will forever be thankful to her for the kindness and empathy she showed me during such a difficult moment in my life. Samira lived authentically. She spoke her truth. She never was interested in following what everyone else was doing. She had her inner compass that would guide her to her very own destination and what she wanted to express and experience. Life feels strangely quiet without her texts and her random memes, political cartoons, songs, thoughts, etc. Yet I know Samira would want us to celebrate rather than mourn. In her honor, I ask each of you to laugh a little louder, to love a little deeper, and to dance like nobody's watching, just as she always did. Samira, I'll miss our late night talks, our silly inside jokes, your warm hug. You were intelligent, well-read, well-traveled, curious, open, and a handy woman. Carl always said he was so happy to have you because you came complete with a toolbox, and he was impressed. Above all, you were a beautiful woman with a beautiful soul, and your spirit will live on in all the lives that you touched. And I am thankful to be one of them. Until we meet again, peace be with you. Much love always. Bon voyage. Bisous, bisous, je t'aime. I would like to take a moment to recite a short poem from a book that Samira loved called The Prophet, written by Khalil Gibran, and it's on friendship. And a youth said, "Speak to us of friendship." And he answered, saying, "Your friend is your needs answered. He is your field which you sow with love and reap with thanksgiving. And he is your board and your fireside. For you come to him with hunger, and you seek him for peace. When your friend speaks his mind, you fear not the nay in your own mind, nor do you withhold the a. And when he is silent, your heart ceases not to listen to his heart. For without words in friendship, all thoughts, all desires, all expectations are born and shared with joy that is unacclaimed. When you part from your friend, you grieve not, for that which you have most in him may be clear in his absence. In the mountain, as the mountain to the climber is clear from the plain, and let there be no purpose in friendship, save the deepening of the spirit. For love that seeks aught but the disclosure of its own mystery is not but a net cast forth, and only the unprofitable is caught. And let your best be for your friend. If he must know the ebb of your tide, let him know the flood also. For what is your friend that you should seek him with hours to kill? Seek him always with hours to live. For it is his to fill your need, but not your emptiness. And in the sweetness of friendship, let there be laughter and sharing of pleasures. For in the dew of the little things, the heart finds its morning and is refreshed. Thank you all. Peace, love, and comfort be with you.
Thank you, Nancy, for speaking such words. I'd like to invite Vicky, Samira's older sister, and she traveled here all the way from Amsterdam.
Hello, and thank you for coming. A eulogy from the ancient Greek, means au, eu, meaning good. Logi, logos, means word, speaking. A good speak, a good word, a good story. I give you part of Samira's story. Samira was my baby sister. When I was about 8, that's what I wanted, a baby sister. Michelle Charles had one. Angela Rose had one. Why not me? Our mother had always wanted to have lots of children, and finally being pregnant again after 8 years, she was over the moon. When Mommy told Martin and I that she was pregnant and we were going to have a baby brother or sister, I was ecstatic, and no amount of cautioning could convince me otherwise. It was to be a sister. Finally, a walking, talking doll. Alas, that she would never be my dolly. Our great-grandmother Laura, whom we called Mother, was a dreamer. She would dream things, predictions, and tell us the next day what she had dreamed. One day, she dreamed that the baby would be born the next day. This time, my mother thought she's got it wrong. The baby's not due for another 2 months. Of course, Mother was right. Samira was born on September 18th, 1971, 2 months premature, weighing in at 2 or 3 pounds, 6 ounces. Tiny. Her head and face were perfectly formed. Her legs seemed very long, and she had no finger or toenails. And she had not yet developed any butt cheeks. She really was quite wondrous, so small, but perfect. We waited impatiently for the baby to come home, but for Mommy and Daddy, it was also an anxious time. She would have to stay in the hospital for a little while. Mommy often told the story that one night she woke up in the hospital with a feeling that something was wrong with the baby. She got up, went to the nursery, to Samira's incubator. The baby was turning blue. She had stopped breathing. There were no nurses around. Mummy told that she held her, massaged her, and then called for the nurses. The baby pinked up. Apparently, babies can forget to breathe. Nothing wrong. Once she came home, it would happen every so often. We were taught to give her a little click on the sole of her feet, activate her reflexes. Drama from the get-go. Her name, Samira Alake. My name was chosen from a magazine article that Mummy was reading in the hospital. As I should have been a boy, there were no names picked out for me. Martin was named after Mummy's father, Lawrence. Peter was named after both Daddy's father, Storman, and Mummy's little brother, Peter. All prosaic Anglo-Saxon names. Samira Alake. Well, here's that story. In the early 1970s, Guyana was involved in the establishment of the non-aligned movement. Daddy, then permanent secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, was intimately involved. He met Salim Salim, his counterpart from Tanzania. Uncle Salim and his family would become very good friends. Salim was encouraging Daddy to put in for the post as ambassador to Zambia. Mummy was thrilled by the idea of us moving and living in Africa. And of course, immediately began to learn Swahili. Before the baby was born, Uncle Salim said, "This is a sign. The child must have a Swahili name." There was a list of favorites at our house. And I remember us all trying out different combinations. Martin, Hugh, Jono, Corin, and myself. When the baby was born, the names jumped out. Samira, meaning friend, companion, both in Arabic and Swahili. And Alake, meaning one to be honored. And what we were always told, also meaning little one who was born too soon and must be loved and cherished. At the time Samira was born, we lived at 41 Public Road, Kitty. The Jacksons, the Locks, the Harewoods, and the Ramnarines next door. Her first extended family. She may not have been my dolly, but she was a great show and tell. We loved to show her off. She was so small that Mummy had a little market basket upholstered so that she could sleep in the bed with her and Daddy, and neither of them would roll over on top of her. Feeding her up became the next priority. Every day there was a weigh-in, and every ounce counted. Once she started eating solid food, Mummy would cook Samira's purees herself. Pumpkin and liver, chicken and liver, ripe plantain and liver. Samira ate a lot of liver that day, and it paid off. She developed into a bouncing baby Buddha. Samira was the baby at the center of her first extended family. Hugh, Jono, Corin, Colin, Audrey, and Dean. And in the words of some people who have written to me, there was Jono. I remember when your mother was pregnant with Samira. It was the first time in my life I ever felt a baby kicking inside a pregnant woman. Hugh. Samira was the first child I felt responsible for from the time I was 12. That's a big thing. and she always remembered me telling her the black puppy dog stories that I made up. Nikki Harewood. I remember she was indeed so tiny that your mom used to put her to sleep on a pillow. And then it was months later, before she learned to walk, how she would escape to get into the yard. I believe that Jimmy may still have a photo he took of her trying to sample the food in the dog bowl. We moved to New York in 1973. Samira was 2. Martin, of course, had his own room. I, 11 at the time, had to share my room with Samira and would have to do so until I was 16, and she still only 7. Samira has always been intuitive. Her feet may be on the earth, but her spirit always flying. Her world has always been multidimensional, a little mystical. Her way, always a way of magical thinking. When we got to New York and Samira began to talk in sentences, she told us clearly and definitively that we were not her family. Her name was not Samira, but Yelda. Her mother was Lumba. Her father, Kingmon. She had an aunt called Pinka Pinta. And a dog, whose name I don't remember now. Her father was the king, which of course would have made Samira royalty. At the time, she described in detail the place she lived in, her daily activities, and so on. Every day, driving on the way to and from school, we passed a brick tower on the New Jersey side of the Hudson River. Without fail, Samira would point to that tower and say, "That's my house." We thought, of course, that this was her imaginary friend phase. But the details of her story never changed. Years later, when our mother was studying anthropology at Columbia University, she told the story of Samira's other family to a friend. That friend told her that the names in Samira's stories were actual or close versions of true and historical names from the area now called the Central African Republic. There was documentation from the 13th or 14th centuries of a ruler called Kingmon, and the traditional housing were tower-like structures. Other research at the time pointed to genetic transfer of memory that appears in children who are newly verbal, but which becomes lost as they go to school and are socialized. That Samira came to us following her previous life became an established fact in our family. Samira went to a very exclusive, progressive kindergarten, the Episcopal school. It was on the Upper East Side between Park and Madison. We would have to drop her off first before Martin and I could be taken to school and Daddy to work. The school was basically a townhouse. The headmistress always stood at the top of the stairs at the entrance. Every child had to be walked up the steps, then shake the headmistress's hand before being released into the school. Samira was, of course, one of the 2 brown children there. Martin and I believe Daddy too, dreaded dropping her off because more often than not, she refused to shake the headmistress's hand. But there was no going in without doing it. There would be this standoff. Good morning, Samira, hand extended. Samira gazing up, hand behind her back. The line of parents and other children growing longer and backing up the steps. Daddy becoming red in the face, nudging Samira, cajoling her. Martin and I ducking down in the backseat of the car. The line of the cars growing longer on a one-way street, honking. What's the holdup? Samira Jackson. I can't say who gave in first, headmistress or Samira. When the hand was shook, Daddy retreated, head drawn in, not meeting any of the eyes focused on him, until he ducked into the front seat of the car and said, "Drive." Was this an act of civil disobedience, or a remnant of her imperial past, or simple bloody-mindedness? I don't know. Samira always did things in her own way and in her own time. She was not easily convinced by argument or irrefutable fact. One year, when she was about 3, we went to Barbados for Christmas. We left snow and sub-zero temperatures in New York for sunny, tropical Barbados, a house on the beach. Martin and I couldn't wait to get out. Be on the beach, get into the sea. Samira had no concept of beach. We put on her little toddler bikini and led her to the door. She refused, absolutely refused to go out. She had to first put on her coat, embroidered, hooded, fur trimmed. She finally followed us out, barefoot. There we were, a family in swimsuits, Samira building a sandcastle in her bikini and winter coat. By the time we moved back to Guyana in 1978, Samira had a baby brother, and I finally got my own room. Samira and Peter were close. They became known of as the children. They shared friends, activities, and a bedtime. The rule in our house was always in bed on time, but you could stay up for a half hour before the lights went out. We could hear them in that half hour chatting to each other, laughing, until it became quiet, and you could open the door, adjust their mosquito nets, and turn out the light. Samira moved to New York when she was 17 or 18 after our mother died. She moved in with me at 203 West 94th Street and lived there on and off for nearly 20 years. She was as much a part of the 94th Street, as much a part of 94th Street as I was. 94th Street became her New York incubator, another extended family. And they must be named because the clan of 94th Street became a family of its own, a family that held Samira, loved Samira, supported Samira, watched Samira become a woman, a family that welcomed her friends, a family that witnessed love and her heartbreaks, a family that is the sum of its parts, each part seamlessly filling in, offering love and support when one or another part was no longer able. So to name them all, and it is an extended family, Corin and Nigel, then Dakar and Isama, Amy and David, Randy, Sarah, and Justin, OJ and Vera Sini, Kathy Craval, and all the many others that Samira brought to us. And just to name a few, Liz and Roz, Sylvia and Jonte. Of course, there is a family here in Miami that she created with Carl and the Mons teams. The friends here that I do not know and have never met, but who I know loved, enjoyed, and shared in her life here. In this past week, I have been truly overwhelmed by the love and support sent my way. I was reminded by so many of Samira's sweetness, her capacity for loving without restriction, her smile wide and open, joyful. I have been reminded of the force of her spirit. A dear friend said, "A body is limiting. Now her spirit, her energy can fly." A few nights before Samira died, I had a dream. In that dream, I saw a hummingbird, so incredibly beautiful that even in my dream I was awestruck. It was iridescent, colored like no other hummingbird I had ever seen. It was huge for a hummingbird. And wonder of wonders, it had 4 tongues. I saw it fly towards some flowers and saw that it was able to sip nectar from 4 flowers at once. I told this dream to a friend who said to me, "We all have a spirit bird, and perhaps Samira's is a hummingbird. Beautiful, always moving, joyful in flight." "And its size?" I asked. "She is joined with your mother," said my friend. 2 birds as one. Goodbye, Samira. May you fly and soar and sip nectar until you find your next family in time and space. Travel well, hummingbird. My life has been a tapestry of rich and royal hue, an ever-changing vision of the ever-changing view, wondrous woven magic of bits of blue and gold, a tapestry to feel and see, impossible told.
Thank you. I also want to invite now Sylvia, who wants to perform a song for us in memory of Samira. I don't know if it's better to use this microphone. Is it better to use this one? Okay.
Hello, everyone. Just want to bless you with the song. Songs that I was singing for Samira. 1 hour of singing. She called me 2 days before she passed. And sing anything, just sing. And she's been my best friend for 32 years. Very good friends. Why should I feel discouraged? And why should the shadows come? Why must my heart be lonely and long for heaven that's our home? When Jesus heals our portion, a constant friend is he. His eyes on the sparrow, and I know he watches over you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Just put your trust in each other and lose your doubts and fears. Though by these paths life leads us, there's one thing is for sure. God's eyes on the sparrow, so I know he'll watch over you. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eyes on the sparrow, and I know he watches over me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. Yes, I'm free. His eyes on the sparrow, and I know he watches over me. She also wanted me to sing, That's What Friends Are For. So if you know it, you're welcome to join. And I never thought I'd feel this way, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm glad I got the chance to say that I do believe I love you. And if I should ever go away, then just close your eyes and feel the way we do today. And then if you can't remember, keep smiling, keep shining, knowing you can always count on me for sure. That's what friends are for. In good times and bad times, I'll be on your side forevermore. That's what friends are for. Thank
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Um, we want to try to give anyone who has a couple of words that they want to say about Samira, maybe for a minute or two. If anyone wants to come in and say a word or two, you're welcome. I think we can probably get 2 or 3 people. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm doing this on behalf of my sister, who's most understandably a little bit gun shy right here. It all began in a quiet neighborhood in the late 1970s, where as children we were always eager to welcome new playmates. It was no different when the Jacksons moved in, and so began a friendship forged by, among other things, a mutual love of reading. It was my first exposure to Laura Ingalls Wilder, The Little House on the Prairie series, Joan Lingard's Across the Barricades, and the Trixie Belden series. In return, my obsession with the Destroyer series garnered another fan. Then there was the fashion shows. Yes, we dressed in her mom, Auntie Jackie's clothes and heels. Peter may have been too young to remember, but he was the cheering section. At times, we must have made nuisances of ourselves with the running up and down of the stairs and disturbing the peace with our loud laughter at the Smokey and Bandit movies. Even picking the granadilla from the trellis on the patio when we were not supposed to. Yet, we were never restrained. Although after we left St. Agnes for different high schools and whenever we ran into each other, it was as though no time had passed. This was evident when a couple of years ago, when we decided we would meet here. After not having seen each other for far too many years to count. It was a gloriously sunny day, filled with happy chatter and hours of unbridled laugh. We talked about anything and everything under the sun. I recall asking her about the verses that she liked to write. We mused on her someday publishing these. Sadly, this was not meant to be. I am so glad that we had that time. To her husband Carl, siblings Peter and Vicky, other relatives, and all who loved her, I wish you strength and peace as you navigate this difficult time. In closing, to paraphrase Rick, I think this was the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Rest peacefully. Thank you.
This is hard. Um, my name is Selwyn. The first time I met Samira was in 1979 or 1980, and her smile stretched from here to eternity. The last time I saw Samira was 2018, and her smile stretched from here to eternity. My family moved to Navy Park in the late 70s, and for those of you who are not from Ghana, it's the neighborhood that's the neighborhood where Samira's family lived. My stepfather worked at Carrico, which meant that he and Uncle Ashley often had to have exalted conversations about foreign affairs. And I would often tag along. And Peter Jackson's. I vividly remember Peter having a big meal. It's one of the things. Along with snacks. But our relationship really took its inflection point when we both went to Queens College in 1982, I believe. And I guess in some way I'm here as a representative of our class of friends, the posse, the large crew of us who were in the same class. And in the days since Samir passed away, we've been talking via WhatsApp. And, a few things were made true. The first of which is that Samir is probably the gravity at the center, at least at that time, of our entire friend group. And because we were all in love from the time we were 10 years old. She had this, I think everyone here has used magic in some context in Samira, and I think that's really true, that she had this ability to, she was way beyond us at 11 years old. But nevertheless, none of us felt put down or felt bad or felt sad. We just became incredibly close platonic friends. And she, already down, Sharon, these three girls in QC just had this circle of boys, and then just a lot of us. We're friends to this day. And, they were the glue. They were the gravity. Um, this is the word that I think of with Samira. Generosity. When I was in second form, I broke my ankle. And I was in a big runner and team in QC back in the day, so not being able to play sports was quite shattering. And I was over the hospital next to Eagle. It was named, I forget, Mercy. Yeah. And being told in the hospital was very weird. One day I heard all this noise, and it's the entire room just coming and they came to visit, inspired by her, driven by her, class, of course. And it made it bearable. It made it possible. Uh, I owe that girl so much more that I don't think I ever told her. And I think in some sense she knew. Uh, I don't know if I ever told her that because she's a big reason for why I didn't know writer. But in those young days, talking about 1920, like most good guys, children, I thought I had to be a doctor, something like that. And I remember this is what happened with Vicky. And I had just had this huge fight with my parents and told her that I wasn't going to medical school. And Sarah and I are laying on the couch and looking at the ceiling, and I have this stress out, you know. And she just looks at me and she just says, paraphrase, but I don't remember the exact words. Why just go ahead and do what you gotta do? It's almost like she gave me permission to let myself dream. This is it's a celebration, but I think to get the celebration you have to go through heartbreak. And I don't want to underplay that. This is heartbreaking, you know. I've known this girl since I was 9 years old. And you know, adulthood stretches you out. You, years pass, you catch up here and there, and I remember beginning to think of my friend as this, it was like a forest creature, this magical like pixie, and you get excited of them, right? And you enjoy them, you feel it, and you take what you can from them, and they're gone again. You give another sighting, and so on and so forth. Well, my last sighting was back home. Um, Miramar was also duly departed. Samira and Jillian were both there. And I felt like I was 10 years old again. I was so happy to see her. Her smile was so big, it was so bright. We could have sat down there and talked the whole day. It was just the two of us. And I'm not so arrogant to think that that feeling was just mine alone in the world to hold because I already felt that way. I'll allow myself to feel like it was a piece of that. So, Samira, on behalf of myself and Don Fletcher, Julius Steve, Roger Ben, Josh Crawford, Raymond Hopkinson, the entire lineup of Queens College and early 1980s. We love you. Uh, we miss you. We will continue to miss you. We will continue to be inspired by you. And here's to all of you who hold and share a piece of your memory and your spirit. Wish you the best.
Thank you, Peter.
I'm at a loss for words. I don't know what to say. I can't find the words. I've heard some iteration of this quite often over the past few days, because there's been such an immense outpouring of love and support. It has been crucially important to keep me whole and safe. Thank you. But who knew that there were so many words just orphaned, roaming the streets, lost, without a place to call home? But I too feel that there are no words. And how do I even find the words to encapsulate the singularity that was here? I don't know. I've searched, I've scoured but I've unearthed no store for found words. There's probably a business idea there somewhere. Maybe they don't. So thus, a quest began for words for today. Since the 7th, she's come to me in moments, made me tackle at some idiotic joke when I'm driving the car alone, and at other times when I'm on the floor with a shovel. Sorry. She's come to me in dreams, and one in particular that started off in a fantastical realm with witches and warlocks and wonderful creatures and wizards, and wound up in a Harry Potter-esque dimension. I know, right? Why Harry Potter? Well, remember that there were a bunch of ministries in Harry Potter books and movies, right? So there was the Ministry of Magic and the Ministry of Muggles Affairs. But then this combination of the British accents and the concept of ministries led the dream to veer off in another direction towards who? Monty Python, Ministry of Silly Walks. Okay, stay with me, because remember, it's Samira. She's right? Heard me. Just doing. So, Silly Walks plus ministry. So clearly, she's guiding me to Daddy. Huh? Why? How did he get that inference to draw that conclusion? Well, think about it. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and towards the end there, the minister certainly had a silly walk. So, thanks, Sam. So, look to Daddy for the words. But there's no way I can conjure up oratory like him. So maybe poetry? I could just borrow the words. And I'll pause there for a second because some of you look confused and some of you probably are confused, and that's okay. This is just a peek into the way our brains work when we work together. You got it's part of the course inside baseball. But if, however, any of you are following along perfectly and understand all of this, you might want to have that checked out. Anyway, back to poetry. So, I'm no poet, but Samir gave me all the breadcrumbs I should need. Daddy, poem. I simply need to find the right poem to read, and those would be the words that I could use today. Yesterday, at our home with Chili, Coco, and Joe, I found a book of Martin Carter poetry, and everything started to fall into place. Daddy liked Carter. He was Guyanese. He was one of Mommy's favorites. Solution and sight. Pick the right poem, read it, bing, bang, zoom, words found. Except when I opened the book, the one poem with the asterisk next to it, which was also Daddy's favorite, was I come from the nigger yard. No, that won't work. So here we are, still in search of words. Sam was so many things all at once, and that was her magic, her superpower. Remembrances. My favorites is when she comes to me, slips her fingers into mine, intertwine, resting her head on my shoulder, because I've long been taller than her. Or she just comes up from behind and hugs me. Or even better, just quietly sitting or lying down next to Sam and having her take you on an adventure only she can show you, because she's the only person who's traveled that cosmic path. She's one of one. She's my Samira. She's your Samira. She exists collectively and individually. The words, they've not been found. They are, as am I, still lost. Let's take a moment in silence to be with her one last time, together and alone. Thank you.
My name is Corinne. I am, I tell everybody in New York that I'm the ambassador from Kitty, the best place in the whole world, but I am from Parkway. We learned at an early age that DNA, just DNA, is not the only thing that defines family.
No.
Samira is my sister, our sister. Gina said in a conversation last week, she felt as she lost her daughter. Samira was beyond bright. By 12, she had read the Riverside edition of the complete works of William Shakespeare. She was a healer, and she was poet. And she was oh so very beautiful. Her friendships spanned decades, and she was incredibly rare. All of you here today, and all the people who've been reaching out, are testament to the width and the depth of the love she engendered. As he said, Samira was fiercely loved. Nigel used to call Samira son of Sam. My middle initials are Sam, so a week before she left, she's like, but how you husband calling me son of Sam, and he don't call you son of Sam? The thing about it is, when he called her son of Sam, it was with such love in his voice. Grisel changed it to Samson after that. This was written by Nigel from 94th Street from Tucson. Sam was enigma and revelation in the same moment. Her heart could be bound by ribs and swing on her sleeve simultaneously. She seemed to sense that somewhere tantalizingly close, there was much more than we are taught to be content with. Perhaps to pursue a fulfillment of those of whose shape is uncertain is to court tragedy, or to live a life that glows, or both. The memories we carry of her will settle that question. Her presence will be missed and forever there enduring. We will never be able to thank all of you who have stood by Samira through thick and thin. To Carl and her new family, we just send our love. Samira Alake Jackson, born too soon and left too soon, indelible in our hearts.
Well, thank you. I'd like to ask Carl, you want to come and maybe.
I would like to personally welcome one and all who have come so far, who have come from so far and near to celebrate the life of our Samira Jackson. It goes without saying that anyone who ever met her loved her immediately. The first time I met her, she insisted on greeting me with a hug. And me, being a hugger, I couldn't resist. In those early times in our relationship, we would sometimes just sit in the same room together, doing our own thing on our phones or devices, but mainly just basking in our closeness, feeling like there is no other place that we'd rather be. During those moments, we would talk about everything from food to politics to philosophy. Ladies and gentlemen, I soon found myself quickly falling madly in love with this woman. When we did move in together, one of the things she had was this huge toolbox. And I said, oh my God, what are you going to do with that thing? Well, I should have put two and two together then to figure out that I was about to be put to work. But it was truly the beginning of a journey of many things that I was to learn and love in and about our over 10-year relationship. Samira challenged me to challenge myself more and more. As anyone who knew her can attest to, she was a great listener and a great friend. And while Samira was always personable, she was not one to be told what to do. When she was locked into an idea or a plan, she was steadfast. But somehow, I loved all of these things about her. I found that she had an intelligence that was unsurpassed. I sought her advice on almost everything. She hated when I said that she had a much higher IQ than I did, but it was true. I have lost a devoted partner, a loyal friend, a wise advisor, and a patient teacher. Well, sometimes patient. I will miss the things we loved and enjoyed together: cooking, gardening, building stuff, reading, music, art, and exploring the different cultures that we both inhabited. I was born in, raised in, and loved New York. And Samira loved New York too. I was blessed to have visited her New York base a few times, where I met her younger but great brother, Peter Storm Jackson. Yes, his name is Storm. We are brothers, Peter. And their father, Rashley Jackson, who I was always proud to say was the former foreign minister of the beautiful country of Guyana. In that same Midtown Manhattan building lived her amazing sister, Vicky, her beloved Corin, the lovely Amy, my fashion guru, Tony Jackson, no relation to the Jackson family, and Papa Dave. I guess I was in with the Jacksons because my next invite was to her homeland, Guyana. In Guyana, I met her cousin, who DJed for one of the major radio stations there, and his sister, Audrey, who is here today. When my father died, Samira was there with me. As anyone who knows Samira will attest to, she was a great listener and a great friend. Samira, I will love you forever.
Okay, thank you. So we're coming to the end of this part of our celebration. I think someone is going to come in and give us a little bit more detail about the repast, which is going to follow after. But I also want to take the time to kind of extend my deepest sympathies and condolences to the entire family, all the friends. Thank you all for coming. I know many of you have come from many different places outside of the US, different cities, etc. So thanks everyone for coming. And if you want to come in maybe and give us the detail in terms of what's going to happen next, that'd be great.
Death leaves a heartache that only time can heal, but love leaves a memory that you will always be able to you. On behalf of this grieving family, we here at George Funeral Home stand to just simply say thank you to each and every one of you who've come this last mile of the way to share with this family. Your cards, the stories that you shared that brought them joy and laughter. But most of all, this family would have me to thank you for your prayers, because it has been your prayers and will continue to be your prayers that will sustain them through this darkest hour. The family would have me acknowledge today floral contributions and gifts from Brenda, the Powells, Brooke, Edelia, Dominique, and Hyan, and the friends from Guyana, Trotz, Locke, Charles, Gaskin, and Henry. Your other individual acts of kindness will not be acknowledged in these services, but at a later date, you can expect someone from this family to come to you and share their appreciation in their own way. The repast will be held next door at the Eric S. George Event Center, which is straight out of the building to your left, and it's the immediate building to your left. They will receive friends, well-wishers, and family next door. Would we all stand? And if you would you bow your head with me for a closing prayer? Father God, we are so gracious and so thankful for your presence here today. We know that God is love, and you were here today because your love has been shown through these people. Thank you for the life of Samira Jackson. Thank you for her family, for her friends. And most of all, God, thank you for the dash that is her life. We pray for these beloved family and friends, that they will find peace and comfort in the journey that is to come. We pray that their heart is filled with loving memories. And most of all, give them joy for the memories that they do have in their hearts. Lead us, guide us, protect us, keep us from hurt, harm, danger, chaos, and confusion. But most of all, God, allow us to find peace and strength in the days to come. We acknowledge you as the Most High God, and we offer this prayer simply by saying amen. Amen. May God bless you and may God keep you. Would you please allow the immediate family to exit first and then follow out through the front door to the building to your left.